It was a cold, snowy Christmas Eve. The small town of Pineville was covered in a blanket of white, and the streets were quiet. Everyone was at home celebrating with their families, but not everyone had good intentions that night. In the heart of the town, there was an old mansion. It belonged to Mr. Thompson, a wealthy but lonely man. He was known for his collection of rare and expensive items. That night, he was alone in his mansion, enjoying a glass of wine by the fireplace. Suddenly, the light went out. The mansion was plunged into murk and dark. Mr. Thompson stood up, confused. He reached for a flashlight and headed to the basement to check the fuse box. As he went down the stairs, he heard a noise behind him. He turned around, but there was nothing there. He shrugged it off and continued. In the basement, he found the fuse box and fixed the problem. The light flickered back on. But when he turned around, he saw a shadowy figure standing at the top of the stairs. The figure was dressed in black, with a mask covering their face. "Who are you?" Mr. Thompson demanded, his voice trembling. The figure didn't answer. Instead, they raised a gun and pointed at him. "Give me the key to the safe," the intruder said in a cold, scary voice. Mr. Thompson hesitated, but he knew he had no choice. He handed over the key, and the intruder quickly made their way to the study, where the safe was hidden behind the painting. As the intruder opened the safe and began to take the valuable items, Mr. Thompson saw his chance. He grabbed a heavy candlestick and crept up behind the intruder. But just as he was about to strike, the intruder turned around and shot him. Mr. Thompson fell to the ground, clutching his chest. The intruder grabbed the loot and ran out of the mansion, disappearing into dark, snowy night. Years passed, and the mansion became known as a haunted house. People said they could hear Mr. Thompson's ghost wandering the halls, seeking revenge on the intruder who took his life. It was like a nightmare that never ended. One Christmas Eve, a group of teenagers decided to explore the mansion. They didn't believe in a ghost and thought it would be a fun adventure. As they entered the dark, cold house, they felt a chill run down their spines. They made their way to the study where the safe was still open. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind them. They turned around and saw a shadowy figure standing in the doorway. It was Mr. Thompson's ghost, his eyes glowing with anger. The teenagers screamed and tried to run, but the ghost blocked their way. "You will pay for what you did," the ghost said in a voice that echoed through the halls. The next morning, the police found the teenagers' bodies in the mansion. Their faces were frozen in terror, and their hearts had stopped. The town was once again shaken by the tragedy, and the mansion was sealed off for good. But on cold, snowy Christmas Eves, people still say they can hear Mr. Thompson's ghost, waiting for the next intruder to enter his haunted mansion. It was a scary place filled with murk and dark, like a living nightmare.